This is about 7 proofs that all the ideas in these videotapes that I'm presenting work. And I think readers or viewers need a reason to believe all of us. And I'm not going to try to do it with charisma, all these videos. I'm going to try to do it with just the sheer ideas in them. And so I need some proofs, 7 of them here. Number 1 is Procter & Gamble Company, a very competent private sector organization that's been around for 150 years, paid me $24,000 for one page I wrote. It's called the Question Finding Model of Creativity, and it's the main 64 dynamics of that on one page. It's actually one page in an article that I ended up writing afterwards called A Model of 42 Models of Creativity. So that one page in that 117-page article was worth $24,000 to the Procter & Gamble Corporation. You take a look at it and you ask yourself why. Number 2, my book Global Quality was called, in writing that I still have, in the original memo by Harry Roberts, who's one of the founders of the Graduate School of Business at the University of Chicago, now called the Booth School. But he wrote in this memo that my second book of Global Quality was a work of genius, and that he had learned more in it and from it about quality than from everything else that he has been reading combined. Getting a founder of a department at a major, top 3 university in the world to say that your book is a work of genius is not easy to do, and of course was not planned by me. I'm very grateful for it. I really am. And Harry was one of the best people I've met in my life, and he's gone now. And people like him are so rare, really rare. Such a generous spirit. So many young careers and scholars and lives he helped. And where is there somebody with the equivalent generosity of spirit? Very hard to replace. Number 3, I got my first academic teaching job 2 years before I got my PhD without applying for it. This dean at the University of Chicago called me at 11 o'clock at night asking me if I'm the Richard Greene who had just written this manuscript, World Quality, later retitled Global Quality by the editor because of a prejudice between Greek and Latin. I liked World Quality better, still like World Quality better. The manuscript had been leaked by the publisher. It was a professional press, the American Society of Quality. They're in Milwaukee, and they leaked it to faculty at the University of Chicago Business School. So they got excited about it as the best book they had seen on quality and asked me to teach. That was a collective decision by that department that indicated that my 886 pages of models and ideas in that book were interesting to them, seriously interesting. And then General Dynamics for the American Fighter Program for the Air Force had a problem of pilots having to choose from 7,000 protective actions, the correct one action within 1.8 seconds. And then later they screwed me up by switching the criteria to 1.2 seconds. I developed a fractal phone number organization, 9 categories, each of which had 9 subcategories, each of which had 9 subcategories, each of which had 9 subcategories, and so carefully named the actions the pilot could take, and so carefully ordered them in this repeated order on a fractal, same order repeating on different size scales, that a 4-digit telephone number would choose among the 7,000 actions, and you could train pilots in less than 10 days to consistently go to the right 1 out of 7,000 actions, following this fractal patterning, ordering of them. That was my first real proof that my fractal interfacing ideas really do work, have immense power, and nothing else can match them. When you have huge choice spaces that have to be in the head, memorized, and with muscle memory and verbal memory both, and then executed within 1.2 or 0.8 seconds. Well, the fifth one was Procter and Gamble's uniting its systems with Walmart. And I have to take a joint credit for this. I brought the most scary, powerful image of how Japanese organizations compete in North America to Procter and Gamble leadership in a series of speeches that all the managers in Cincinnati headquarters heard. And insiders in Procter and Gamble tuned my presentation to tweak the ego of upper-level managers maximally, causing many of them to stand up, shake their fist at me, deny what I said in a defensive way, turn red in the face, and say everything's fine in North America and we're doing a great job and we don't have to worry about Japanese competition, and go away. This message I had, go away. And then they took a video, not of me so much, but of the audience's defensive reactions, upper level managers turning red in the face and denying everything that I said in an exaggerated and false way. And we were very careful to make sure that every statement I made was absolutely factual. And then we videotaped my statement, mild and factual and scary in implications. And these overwrought, defensive, unprepared, more scary reactions of upper managers showing that they really wanted to deny the message rather than to adapt to the reality it was conveying. And that changed the culture. And I wouldn't have done that alone. It wouldn't have occurred to me to have two cameras, one on me and one on defensive managers in the audience. But the video we put together of my mild comments that were factually very careful and with scary implications for the competitive risk for P&G, and the defensive manager reactions woven in, was eventually shown to every manager in Procter & Gamble at the order of Vice Chairman Lako. And it changed the culture of the organization within 3 months. And then made the issue of my recommendation of completely integrating P&G computer systems with Walmart before a Japanese company came and did it, done. Pioneering work for all the retail industry. And then an unnameable U.S. government agency had for years had a problem. And I created this solution, first big sales at electronic data systems to their biggest customer, General Motors, other than by the chairman, Ross Perot of EDS. And the chairman of EDS was very impressed by that and sent a private plane with his assistant to fly me to Langley, Virginia to go meet some government agency people. And they were going to describe at lunch using metaphors, because I didn't have a security clearance, this problem they had. And so I quickly told them that in 2 minutes I knew a solution, and in 2 minutes I told them what the solution was. And I got kicked under the table by Ross Perot because they hadn't paid us any money yet. So I was supposed to tell them the solution. So we agreed on a price, and I was naive, and it was such an easy problem. It just never occurred to me to pretend it was a hard problem, and it hadn't already been solved. But they needed to be able to identify parts of speeches who wrote them, and I have a easy technology for doing that. And then lastly, in drug companies in New Jersey, a manager at Warner Lambert and I were friendly with each other, did several conferences together. He was a great guy. And we talked about the problem of delivering high technologies to the American workforce and how the snobbery of top colleges and the professionals trained at top colleges slowed down and made complicated and expensive and risky technology introductions. And that slowed the spread of technologies, and how the more democratic culture in Japanese organizations, with the Gemba doing most of the initiative taking and the leaders editing initiatives, how that created a much faster spread of simpler, less risky versions of technologies. And so I took quality circles in Japan and threw the statistics out and put American advanced software in instead of statistics. and created software and artificial intelligence and knowledge circles, and then proceeded to create the world's first implementation at Xerox. And after having done quiet implementations in Japan earlier, and it won a prize for the Information Management Society. And it was done at General Motors as a new way to introduce high technologies much faster and less risky and expensive at General Motors, which made me very successful there. So those are the big ones. Procter & Gamble paying $24,000 for one page. The University of Chicago hiring me 2 years before my PhD to teach in their business school, and without me applying. My first book, Global Quality, my second book, pardon me, Global Quality, being called A Work of Genius by the founders of the University of Chicago Business School. General Dynamics interface, which allowed pilots to make 7,000 choices, choose from 7,000 alternatives within 1.2 seconds, actually, between 0.8 seconds. And Procter & Gamble, again, getting them to fuse computer systems with Walmart via a video that showed defensive upper manager reactions to the Japanese threat instead of poised and thoughtful reactions, which changed the culture enough to get them to move. And then the U.S. government intelligence agencies paying me to solve a long-standing authorship identification problem using Walter Kinch's macrostructures. And finally, being the inventor of artificial intelligence circles, which looked creative on the outside, but which was really obvious for me, just taking quality circles, throwing the statistics that Japan used out, putting American software in, and using it to deliver new technologies to the American workforce in a faster, less risky, less complicated